The ancient catacombs stretched endlessly beneath the earth, a labyrinth of shadows and secrets buried deep in history. It was a place few dared to enter, and even fewer returned from. Yet, for the four archaeologists, it was an irresistible mystery waiting to be unraveled. Dr. Rebecca Hayes, the team's leader, had spent years deciphering ancient texts hinting at a hidden chamber within the catacombs. Her colleagues, Dr. Mark Bennett, Dr. Alice Simmons, and Dr. Jason Clark, were equally driven by the promise of discovery. They were seasoned explorers, accustomed to the eerie silence and cold, damp air of forgotten places. As they descended deeper into the earth, the oppressive darkness seemed to swallow the light from their torches. The air grew colder, the silence more profound, broken only by the distant drip of water echoing through the tunnels. Their footsteps were muffled by the thick layer of dust that had settled over centuries. Rebecca led the way, her eyes scanning the ancient walls for any signs of the hidden chamber. The catacombs were a maze of tunnels and rooms, each one filled with the bones of those long dead. The walls were adorned with faded inscriptions and crude carvings, telling stories of lives lost to time. After hours of searching, they stumbled upon an area that felt different. The air was heavier, charged with an unsettling energy that prickled their skin. Mark, the team's historian, noticed a series of strange symbols etched into the wall, symbols that didn't match any known language. "Look at this," he said, tracing the symbols with his fingers. "These are unlike anything we've seen before." Rebecca examined the symbols closely, her brow furrowed in concentration. They're a form of ancient script, but older, much older. Alice, the team's linguist, stepped forward. "It's like a forgotten dialect. I can try to decipher it, but it might take time." "Let's mark this spot and set up camp here," Jason suggested. "We can work through the night." They set up a makeshift camp, their lights casting long shadows on the walls. Alice worked diligently, her notebook filled with scribbled translations. Hours passed in tense silence, the air growing colder and more oppressive with each passing minute. Finally, Alice looked up, her face pale. "I think I've got it. It speaks of a chamber that holds the one who watches from beyond, a spirit trapped for eternity, waiting to be released." Rebecca's eyes widened with excitement. This must be it. We need to find the entrance. Following Alice's translations, they discovered a concealed doorway hidden behind a layer of rock. It took all their combined strength to move the stones, revealing a narrow passage that led deeper into the catacombs. The passage was suffocatingly narrow, forcing them to move single file. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something else, something foul and unnatural. As they emerged into a vast chamber, their torches flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. In the center of the chamber stood a stone sarcophagus covered in intricate carvings. The oppressive energy was almost tangible, pressing down on them with a malevolent force. "This is it," Rebecca whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. The chamber of the ancient spirit. They approached the sarcophagus cautiously, the air growing colder with each step. Rebecca ran her fingers over the carvings, feeling the ancient power emanating from the stone. "We need to be careful," Mark warned. "We don't know what we're dealing with." Rebecca nodded, but her curiosity outweighed her caution. With a deep breath, she pushed the lid of the sarcophagus, revealing a mummified figure inside. The air grew colder still, and a low, guttural whisper echoed through the chamber. "You have awakened me." The voice was ancient, filled with centuries of rage and suffering. The mummified figure's eyes snapped open, glowing with an otherworldly light. The archaeologists stumbled back in horror as the spirit rose from the sarcophagus, its form shifting and writhing like a dark shadow. The temperature plummeted, and a fierce wind whipped through the chamber, extinguishing their torches. In the darkness, the spirit's eyes burned like twin stars, filled with malice and hatred. "You have disturbed my rest. Now you shall pay the price." The spirit's voice echoed through their minds, a cacophony of agony and rage. Mark clutched his head, falling to his knees as blood trickled from his nose. Alice screamed, her voice swallowed by the darkness. Rebecca fumbled for her flashlight, the beam cutting through the shadows. The spirit's form twisted in the light, its eyes narrowing in anger. "Leave this place," it commanded, its voice shaking the very ground beneath their feet. But it was too late. The chamber's walls began to close in, the ancient stones groaning as they shifted. Rebecca and her team scrambled to escape, but the spirit's power was too great. The catacombs themselves seemed to come alive, trapping them in a suffocating embrace. In the chaos, Jason was the first to fall, his body crushed by the shifting stones. Alice and Mark followed, their screams cut short as the darkness consumed them. Rebecca was the last to succumb, her mind filled with the spirit's vengeful whispers. As the catacombs closed around her, she realized the true horror of their discovery. They had unleashed a force beyond their understanding, a spirit that would never rest, a curse that would never end. The catacombs returned to their silence, the ancient spirit once again entombed, but now with 4 new souls to keep it company. And so, the legend of the hidden chamber grew, a cautionary tale for those who dared to disturb the secrets of the past.